doing it Oisches. So the Rebbe has explained here the three Tkufas, three epochs, and then the Siyas of the Frierdiker Rebbe. Yud Shvat, Tavshin Yud Aleph. So that's the Shleimus, that's the completion of Yud, of Eser. That's preparing the world for the Gilui of Yud Aleph, which is the whole Kavanah of Alikus. So explained all the pratim here, that there's a convergence here of Yud and Yud Aleph. However, what dominates is Yud, because even though there's the 11th month here, you see, because day is Gilui, but Goloi, it's Inyan of Yud. Goloi, the emphasis here is how Teva is ready for the Gilui of Yud Aleph, but the emphasis is Teva. So the day, which is Gilui, is Yud. It's the 11th month, Shevat. That's the first, the shleimus of his Avodah stage 1. Yud Shvat, Tavshin Yud Aleph. Then there's Yud Aleph Shvat, Tavshin Yud Aleph. That Yud Aleph Shvat begins already. Yud Aleph Shvat Tavshin Yud. Yud Aleph Shvat Tavshin Yud. So there already the day is the union of Yud Aleph. So now starts already the emphasis on the Likus, which is higher than Teva. That's in the process. It's all part of this evolution, this process of being Nimshach in Welt. But the shleimus of that, one second, he said, before we get to Chabad Shvat, no. The next stage in the sea, as he said, was the next day, and then when was Tavshin Yud Aleph? Next day, Yud Aleph Shvat. Yeah. Okay, that's what he says. It's later being Tavshin Yud Aleph. We'll see the next page. At this stage, the second stage is the next day Yud Aleph. And he has in brackets already. He had in brackets on page 349, especially in the year Tavshin Yud Aleph. Not in brackets. He adds that. So the second Kufa is the next day, especially the next year, where it's not just the day Yud Aleph, but the year also Tavshin Yud Aleph. Okay, that's all part of stage 2. And stage 3 is after the stalkus of his daughter, Chabad Shvat, which is 2 times Yud Aleph. So the key to understanding all of this is, because we have Yud Aleph twice here. We have Yud Aleph the next day, and especially the next year. And then you have Chabad Shvat. So what was remember the explanation? The 2 dargis in Yud Aleph. 2 dargis in infinite. There's the relative infinite and the absolute infinite, to coin some new terms. So the relative infinite is, help me if you can, if you'd like. Relative infinite is what, and what's the chsaron of it? What's relative infinite? It is bligvul.
Infinite as it relates to finite.
And so therefore, as it relates to finite, what's the chsaron? Chsaron is that then when it's revealed to finite, it would implode it. Tithe it, beyond it. So beyond it means that when it's revealed, then Gvul Yud becomes dissolved. But then there's the Penimius, the Etzem of Yud Aleph. Koicha Atzmos, the true absolute infinite one, in the absolute sense. The word infinite is not a good term because it still implies not finite. It still implies some kind of description. But thinking of Yud Aleph, in other words, Pnimis HaKesef, Pnimis Atik, bound up with Atzmus and Mohos, so that what's the mila of that? Not just okay, we upped the ante, we raised it a notch, and now we're going to a higher target. We're not talking just a higher target. What's the nekuda? Point being what? right? But in this inyan that we're talking now of the fusion of Esren and Yud Aleph, that's what we're looking for here, which is the Kavanah Sabriya. So what's the Maila now in this, in Shevat, which is which is Meramas to the second Darga in Yud Aleph, 22 being 2 times Yud Aleph. This is the true level of Yud Aleph, Pnimius HaKeser, which is the Maila. The Maila of it is, what is it? First of all.
It's higher than infinite and finite.
Oh, so it's at the Etzem, it's higher than Gvul and Bli Gvul, and therefore, when Atzmos is revealed, there's a true fusion of Esen Achadosa, or Hashem Elikim, Havaya Hu Elikim. In other words, the Hu is Atzmos, and Havaya and Elikim. Havaya is like Bli Gvul, and Elikim is Gvul. Havaya Hu Elikim, or he's saying that mitzad Atzmos, it's all one, and that's the Tachlis HaKavanah.
The example of how
Pardon?
the example of how the Yud cannot be circled, the Yud Aleph was Matan Torah, right? But what's the example for the next Mashiach?
Yeah, that's that. We're waiting for that, and it's in the process of the Gilui of Gvul and Bli Gvul. I've mentioned this story many times. It's worth repeating again, and that is just the background to the story is a personal background. I was actually the first person in the world to see this, but eventually it got published. It's a letter. It was when I first came to Australia after we got married. So the night before we left, Arl Sabransky just passed away, the son of the appointed shliach Reb Zalman Serebransky. So he calls me. I should come and see something. It's worth all the treasures of this world. I actually didn't drive yet in those days, so he picked me up, and he showed me a letter that Rabbi Yitzchak Goldin, told the story many times, sent to his father Reb Zalman. A letter from 1953, Tavshin Gimel. Rabbi Yitzchak Goldin is a story in his own right. He was the great Chassid, Bal Mesiras Nefesh, and he started the Beisifka in New York at the behest of the previous Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe. At any rate, so they were good friends, Rabbi Yitzchak Goldin and Reb Zalman Serebransky. And he writes to him a letter of what's happening. I remember it was in green ink. And he says to him, he writes, I guess he breaks into Yiddish in the middle of the letter. First he's had that Rebbe is fasting and goes to the oil, and Chassidim, should we do something about this? You should watch his health. And he says to him, Zalman, he says to him, exclamation mark, Ein locha musig. You have no grasp, no on the idea of a tainog, the pleasure, kashem mistaklim al chakat mushlita, looking at the Rebbe. And then he says, Royim, we see, and he breaks into Yiddish, atzebrochen and freilich and ishaliki, a broken, joyous man of God. It's a complete contradiction, broken and joyous. But mekoich atzmos, etzem an neshama, it is that way. And in many ways to translate that. On the one hand, broken, golus, Jewish suffering, Mashiach didn't come yet. Joyous, not just because Mashiach is coming, but Pnimius, it's all good. So it's to reconcile intellectually is not possible. But mitzad ha'atzmos it is. Atzebrochen and freilich and ishaliki. And it's an endless manifestations of that, of our generation is already on the cusp of this fusion of gvul and bli gvul, of the impossible and the natural fusing seamlessly together. The whole shlichus is impossible and natural. When Rebbe laid out the map and the first maimer, Tavshin Yud Aleph, about sending people to places where they don't know of Aleph Beis, and so on. And this was how is that possible? And yet the impossible became possible, and it's the new reality, and it continues endlessly. After Gimel Tammuz is impossible. Lubavitch should continue, and Shluchim should go out and have Mesiras Nefesh for the rest of their lives. Besimcha, with a sense of privilege, is impossible. Maybe it's possible. It became, all the impossible became possible. Not the miraculous. It became nature. Kid grows up and he wants to be a shliach, the Rebbe shliach. Never saw the Rebbe in his life. And he's the Rebbe shliach. At any rate, so we see it in endless ways. But the ikar is in our own avodah. In our own avodah, it has to be the same way. That which we had said is impossible for me now becomes not just a big hero and I'm going to kill myself becomes possible. All of a sudden it's possible. Drawing on the Etzem HaNefesh, what was yesterday unthinkable now is okay. It's teva. In our own avodah. I'm just echoing what the Rebbe said, Taka Tov Chof, in the Fabrengen Shabbos Parshat B'Shalach after Yud Shvat. He expressed his deep, I told you, this deep disappointment that all these koiches that are being given are just not being used. Just fractionally, marginally. He says, well, what was. Let's hope going forward that all the koiches that are Nimshach, Yud Shvat, and the Rebbe is pumping out, just talking about the Fidige Rebbe, that we should all just simply want to use it, and the miracles happen and they become natural. Continue now, Eis Ches. V'pezeh yesh loimer, yeah? Yeah, I didn't get to it in the text yet, I don't think, in the primary text. But we did this already. No. Oh, we did. Actually, we did. So, right, so therefore he said, just some say it in English, just in translation there, just to get the flow of it, from Eis Ches. So here are the three epochs in the Nesias, 10th day of the 11th month, that's the shleimus of the of polishing the buttons of Golus. So Eser is ready to receive Achad Eser, but still two separate things, but ready to receive. Then, so it's the 10th day, but the 11th month. But the day is still 10. Okay, it's saying what we said before. So that was everything till the Istalkus. Then the next day, that's the top of the next column on page 350. The 11th day, the 11th month. So in addition to the Avodah Vasiri, now we are elevated to the Madrege V'Achadasa. And this lifts the 10 to the Madrege of the 11. So we've got 11 both day and month. Now, for out of 50, where was the 50? What did it say in the text? So now the 11th day of the 11th month. So here, it's very precise. Month is Makabel, and day is Mashpia, because month is moon, and day is sun, determined by the sun. So this is the fusion of the Mashpia and Makabel. Now he adds a out of 50. No, then out of 50, no, that's 51. Yeah, at this point that the 11th day is already what? The Gilui. Now look at our order 50. If the Rebbe wouldn't say this, it would be, Chassidim said this kind of thing, but Lahoyer, it's noteworthy, somebody did a thing here. Mashaych is the Chedesh Achad Osar, noteworthy to point out the connection between the 11th month, which is the month of Adar, to Le, B'yoyim Ashtei Osar, the 11th day, the Chedesh Harishon of the first month, Yud Aleph Nisan. The Nosid Ivnei Osher, that he was who brought then was the prince of the tribe of Asher. So let's get this clear. He's pointing out that the connection between what? The 11th month and the 11th day of Nisan. What will be the connection? In brackets he tells us, La'adeis, to those opinions who explain that the connection between the Nesiim and the months of the year follows the order in when they brought their karbonos in the Chanukah Mishkan. And therefore, the one who brought on the 11th day of Nisan, that's connected to the 11th month, Adar, Shvat. So you follow this? So there's an intrinsic connection between Yud Aleph Nisan and the month of Shvat. Let's continue. It brings the sources of that. Kelis Yaakov, Bnei Yisachar, often quoted in Sichas. Kelis Yaakov is a Kabbalah sefer. Bnei Yisachar is written by the of the Bashem to Talmidim, even later. Very deep sefer. No, he just escaped me now. Huh? No, that's all this Yaakov. No. If you just look at Google for a second, remember we're on tape. The listener should hear. V'yesh loyma, let's continue. Even more Meidedik. No, Ropshitz, no. No, you found that there. Sefer B'nai Yisachar. V'yesh loyma, I want you to look in the order, so find it fast and let's continue. The dinner, but there's what else? No, Bnei Yisachar. Okay. Yeah, and that's him. Okay, I forgot which Chassidus he's a founder of. I mean, Dinner is a Chassidus in its own right, but there are other ones that were, as it were, spawned from it. Anyway, it's a very deep Kabbalah Chassidus sefer, and Chassidus often quotes it, at least in the footnotes. V'yesh loymar. Let's continue in our order. Sheyoim achad asor b'chodesh harishon. Now we're going to even further detail now. The 11th day of the first month, Nisan. Listen to this. Yud Aleph Nisan. Kosher is connected in Mascholas HaGilui. The beginning of the Gilui of Yud Aleph. It's the birth. Haleda. Could it get any stronger? Shabchines achad asor. It's the birth of the beginning of the birth of the level of Achadasar of 11, of course, the Rebbe's birthday. And in brackets, Sicha Shabbos HaGodel, Rebbe Alf Nisan, Tavshim Mem Tes. Ki Yadua, and what's the connection, the birth? Because Chedesh Nisan, no Yisrael, this Am Yisrael. Chedesh Nisan was the birth of Am Yisrael. See the pasuk in Yechezkel. So that's Yud Aleph Nisan. Go to the bottom of the brackets, all the sources. V'yim Achadasar, v'Chedesh Achadasar. Whereas the 11th day of the 11th month, not the birth. This is connected with a full-blown revelation. When the Nesias, the leadership, referring to the Fidik Rebbe, of course, is in a revealed way. So Yud Aleph Nisan is the birth of the Nesias. And Yud Aleph Nisan, Tavshin Yud Aleph, or Yud Aleph, or rather, the 11th day of the 11th month is the Nesias Begoloi. And especially, he said before, in the year Tavshin Yud Aleph. He doesn't bring in the order here, but he all knows. He mentioned that the Maim was said in the 11th hour. The Maim was 10:40 at night. So Mamish, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of the 11th year of the decade. The only end of Yud Aleph. Now, continuing now in the text. And then there's a third level. Because first was Eser, the emphasis. Now the emphasis is Yud Aleph. And now with the fusion. We finished all the berurim. And we've polished the buttons. And we have to stand ready to receive Mashiach, the Shleimus v'Achadasar, the perfection of 11, in Ganzen Shleimus, totally beyond the level of 10. Was tut uf, this is the deeper level of the etzim level. Was tut uf dem chibur, that brings about the fusion, the ichod and wonders from Esa of 10. Tzadin Yonahu, meaning this means that the 10 is not imploded, it remains 10. This is, my friends, Vata Tetzava, right? The etzim and nefesh permeates all of the details of the nefesh without dissolving, imploding them. That's the whole point, it's the fusion. Teva remains Teva, but it's simultaneously beyond Teva. So now it's the fusion of that in Achadasar Mitzadin Yonehu. So not compromising the infinite, not compromising the finite, and they are fused. And how's that hinted? Kemurum is in Chabad Shvat. the 22nd of Shevat, the Frierdiker Rebbe's extension. Chabad 22 is Achad Asar B'Kiflayim, is 11 twice. You're bringing here in the brackets that noteworthy that Achad Asar Yom from them Yom Achad Asar B'Chodesh Echad. Yeah, so Achad Asar Yom 11 day from them Yom Achad Asar. 11 days from the day 11. Another 11 days, a double 11. B'Chodesh Achad Asar on the 11th month. Das heißt, as in Yemei HaChodesh Atzmam, within these days of the month of Shvat itself, hat man zweimal Achad Asar, 2 times 11. Nice of them was that, was das is B'Chodesh Achad Asar, in addition to the fact that it's the month, the 11th month. Shloim and the Rebbe suggests, this conveys Tachlis HaShleimus for Achad Asar, the perfection of a level, of 11, the higher level. Pnimius HaKeser. Bechlal Keser is what is 11. But then there's Arich and Atik. We're speaking here Atik. Primus HaKeser, the Etzem. Is Achtus Esem, the Achad Asar, the true fusion of 10 and 11. As Oich Bedargas HaGiluyim, even in a conscious way. Or Bedargas HaMashpia. And the way it's revealed, Yom Day, Hat Messiah Achad Asar, we have both the transcendent, Vidas Reibt, Ufdem Asar, as it lifts up the 10 Tachtonim, the low level. On Saya Chadasam and the Atzmai, that's the effect on 10. And also the purity of the level itself. Tzad Etzem Mashpia. Not just Mashpia as he is be Mashpia, but his Etzem, his very being. Achadasam Batarosim Mamash, the true Pnimius, higher than the Ashpah, the Gilui, the Etzem. So that's Mutzah Yisbarach, and therefore, on Chibush Neim Yachad, the fusion of both. Das heißt, meaning, that means to say, after having the perfection of 10 and 11, the Chodesh Achad Asar on the 11th month. The Shleimus Avodah von Eden Lemata, the Avodah of Eden, the Anir Tzemam Shizayim B'Cheres Achad Asar, to draw down the 11 in the Aseres Adibres. He spoke that earlier. Okay, this is the Hemshech. We'll leave this because the next, actually, we'll do this before Chabad Shvat. This is all connected to Chabad Shvat in more detail, and he goes into Chaya Mushka, how it's all reflected in her name, Chaya and Mushka. But we'll leave that close to the Chabad Shvat if we're still, God forbid, in Golas. I want to share with you a story, and then we have time, the last few minutes, this beautiful, simple review of the Maimer of Tov Shemem that we just completed. But the story is as follows. This is from this wonderful book, Yemei Bereishis, put together by the Shliach in Alaska. Tremendous research. This is not known, but I've said it many times, so you guys know it. It's not on the tape, and it's not on the Hanocha either, where they didn't put everything that happened at the Fabrengen in the Hanocha. And that is as follows, says, friends. I'll read it to you. It's mind-blowing. I'm just going to translate. Before he said the Maimer. So let's just appreciate the Rebbe saying the Maimer. In terms of Jewish history, this is one of a cosmic moment. This is my feeling, objectively, from my perspective. Matan Torah, and starts the whole process. The Shekhinah coming Lamata, and this Maimer, where the Rebbe is formally accepting it, laying out the roadmap, and this is there couldn't be a more cosmic moment since Matan Torah than the Maimer. Heaven and earth trembling. Is the Rebbe going to accept this or not? And make it the reality for the post-Holocaust generation. And of course he did. So what just before the Maimer? Listen to what they write here. Before the Maimer, the Rebbe noticed Mr. or Shin Mem. We don't know. I don't know if I can find out. I don't know who this person is. Who is becoming close to Yiddishkeit. Who is the president of the Fabrengen. And the Rebbe turns to him and says, "Did you sell your car?" Now in brackets he adds, and you look back in that the Rebbe had been talking to this person to sell his car. It's time for this later, to get married, and devote yourself to learning in yeshiva for this. So this is what the Rebbe is saying to him. Did you sell your car? And he gave some kind of answer. And the Rebbe's response was, it was in Yiddish, you didn't sell it, and as that made surprised, disappointed, surprised that he didn't sell it. And then moments later, the cosmic changed the world forever in the sense of, here's the Nambasi Lagana Chaisikal. So this story is boggling on a simple level, the Rebbe's presence of mind. I mean, he's about to say this Maimer, he's accepting the mantle of leadership from the Baal Shem Tov, the Rebbeim, the Rashavi, and the presence of mind to remember, be conscious of this fella, Shin Mem, first name Shin, second name Mem, whether he sold his car or not. The Bemis, it's more than that. It's really not two things. This is the point. As we are learning the Maim of Toshin Chav. How they saw the Eibishter by the sea one way and by my Har Sin another way. That this whole mission that the Rebbe is about to launch in earnest, and this is it Kindalach, the end of the line, and how we're going to bring, this generation is being charged to bring Mashiach. It's all dependent on each one of us, and did we sell a little toy? In our own personal little avodah, it's not little, it's all the etzem. So we just learned now that the Yud Aleph connects with the Yud, meaning that the small details of nature, my own personal little world, my little world, 10 is the nature of the world, be permeated with Yud Aleph. And it's in Tafka, the small details, that the whole Kavanah is implemented. Quite the message there. All right, gents, we have a few minutes.
Could it be added that not only in the details, but in every single one of us?
Yeah, but each one of us is the whole world.
What it must have been like to be Mr. Shimon when this cosmic moment is happening. And I was asking about my car.
And we are all that Shin Mem. That's each one of us. It's exactly each one. Exactly. That's exactly the point. That's our avodah. That's our avodah, is to get this through our heads. As the Baal Shem Tov, it was quoted in the Maimon Toshin Chav, that this is the Yetzer Hara's biggest tool. Humility. Humility. What difference do I make? My davening, my learning, the detail of this, that in my own private mind and head and behavior. No, we're told no. This is the Adarab. This is all. That the Yesh Amiti is Nizgal and the Yesh Nivra. We're born, as we explained when we were learning the mind, with this complete sense of ego, and the whole world revolves around me, and we can never really shake that because all we really know is me. I think, therefore I am. So the Eibishter made it that way because, yes, you are the whole world, and so is everybody else. And everything taka depends on each one of us. The deeper the discussions, the more one feels that. I'd mentioned when I was in one of my talks in South Africa on Sunday, I started with this article that appeared in the Orat Sheva. I think I spoke about it, I think in Shul, by a young Pupko. He's a cousin, a nephew, I don't know what he is. So Chabad put this all to shame. It's an article that leaves the question unanswered. He said, "There's no why." He says, "Why is it taka?" He says, "I went to I learned the same Torah. You have to lecha kameches klal gadol b'Torah. I learned the same. Didn't I learn Yeshiva Flatbush, wherever he learned there? Kol Yisrael Arif Bezu. So why is only Lubavitch doing? He said, it's a challenge. We should all do it. What's the answer? The answer is you plug into Rebbe. If you plug into Rebbe, you plug into your own heart, your own brain, then you as a finger become alive and you feel. You feel the urgency. You feel another Yid. You feel the Eibishter. You feel. That's the paradox of Chabad. On the one hand, and this is not for Chabad, it's everybody. The Rebbe there's a Nossi HaKol, there's a Nossi HaDoy. On the one hand, it's Rebbe, and yet Chabad is independent and confident and fierce, and no two people have the same style. It's not a contradiction, it's Adarab. Because you're plugged in, a finger that's plugged in with fluid communication to the heart and to the brain, he feels every sensation. Then if it's a little bit, Peri Beis and Tanya, getting B'chinas Acharayim, then you spiritually, you learn, you daven. But to feel like this, it all depends on me, and you see this. The more the chassid is plugged in, the more alive, urgent, and the sense of the responsibility, also the privilege, the more driven. May they wish to help that this today, Yud Shvat, Shnas HaShivim, they would say right now, it's all over. Golus is all over, and in a blink, you'd say, in a blink of an eye, the famous story with Wolf Greenglass. The early years, mamish early years, they were talking upstairs in 770, mamish on the inside of the front door, in the corridor, in the hallway. How will Mashiach come? What's it going to look like? They're discussing the evolution, whatever it was, how things will evolve. And the Rebbe just walked in, hadn't heard the conversation. The story goes something like this. And turns to him and says, just like that, he's here. And then, in that instant, you give out. Hello. In this moment of absolute blinding clarity, it become very clear. That's how we're going to miss the Golus days. With a little bit of effort, where could I be now? The famous Gemara, when the Mashiach will come, the Tzaddikim will cry, and the Rishoyim will cry, looking at the Yetzer Hara. They both weep. The Tzaddikim will cry because they see this huge monster, an ogre, like a mountain. Oh, they were so close to falling off the precipice and didn't. Thank God. And the Rasha will cry. It was nothing. A bit of effort they could have resisted. Both. It's both. So may Hashem help from this davening and from everything going forward. We take what's given to us now, this new chayis, this new surge of power and of koyach that translates in the sense of being alive and responsible and joy and driven to do what you have to do, and inspire and share that with others as well.